Welcome to a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda.
Good morning. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the April 26th meeting of the Lorain County Board of Commissioners. Our word of the day is Proverbs 14:5 and 6. An honest witness does not lie. A false witness breathes lies. A mocker seeks wisdom and never finds it, but knowledge comes easily to those who with understanding. So today, if you see on our agenda, we have Teresa Giles, who's going to be presenting donations that she received for our dog kennel. So I decided for extra special treat that we were going to have Taya actually present our dog from the kennel this morning. So Taya, do we have the microphone? Okay, come on up. Sell this dog so somebody comes and picks it up, unless you guys are going to take it home today. Just come right out here in the middle so they can get a good look at you and the dog. You can say, tell them about the dog. Tell them to come down to the kennel and pick the dog up, take it home. The microphone's not on? Is it?
It is. She just hasn't talked yet.
Oh. Go ahead, Tay.
This lovely dog is in kennel number 22. Available the 27th. And
How old is it? A boy or a girl?
she's 6 months. She's a 6-month female. Come down to the kennel and adopt this lovely little girl.
Yeah, she's sweet. She's a lot of fun, isn't she, Taya?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Now, if you just want to go over to that podium over there and just tell us what you brought for us today.
I did a donation drive at my school for the Lorain County Dog Kennels, and we have a whole car full of donations. And I wouldn't be able to do it without my teachers helping me, which is Miss Mediate, Miss Beimer, and then all my friends helped too. We did it on April 12th and finished it. We finished it on April 12th and we started it on April 27th.
What school do you go to?
Brookside Intermediate.
Brookside Intermediate. Okay. Well, Taya was going to bring, and her mom, Wendy Zabados, we were going to bring all the donations up here today and have the dog warden take it back with them, but they also, you volunteer at the kennel too, right?
Yeah.
And how often do you usually go out there, and what do you do when you volunteer?
I play with the dogs in the pens, and then we usually go there every Saturday.
Nice. So instead of bringing all the donations up here, you're just going to go and see the dogs today, right?
Yeah.
And take it there yourself. So
Yeah.
I asked the dog warden to stick around to take it, but we'll see you over there. All right. Anything else?
No.
No?
Is that your mom with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wave, get your
Yeah.
time on.
Exactly. Wow.
Pen out there.
Yeah.
How is he here today? There we go. Once
Yeah.
more, Mom. Say
Wave.
hi.
Wave hi.
Yeah.
We
Well,
have
thank-
generations of dog rescuers and dog lovers and animal lovers in our family, so it's going from generation to generation, I guess, here. So
Well,
thanks
thanks
for all you guys did, and tell everybody in your school and everybody that donated. What kind of donations did you get?
We got dog food, we got wet and dry, we got leashes, we got toys, and we got what was it? Leashes and blankets.
brushes and
Yeah.
all kinds of good stuff, right? And one of your friends had to give up their puppy, so they gave you all
Yeah.
their things too. So
Yeah.
thank you for doing that.
Thank
Hopefully
you.
we get more people like you to want to do those types of things. So, thanks.
Thank you, Tay.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much.
Yeah, we'll go to good use. Thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk.
Under Resolutions Number 1, Investments.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
I know, I was like, wait a minute. Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Advances and repayments.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Requisitions.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Travel.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Bills.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary sheet for employees within jurisdiction of Lorain County Commissioners.
Mr. Cortez?
Thank you, Madam Commissioner. Let me just take a brief look here. I would like to discuss some potential new hires at the collection center. That should be it with the potential new hires. I also want to discuss ongoing labor negotiations with the United Auto Workers, potential sale of property, a pending legal matter. And I think that's it for this morning. So all of those topics are allowable under the Sunshine Act for executive session discussions. So I'd ask at the conclusion of our regular board meeting, we go into executive session and we discuss those items that I've explained. Thank you.
Thank you.
Approve and waive the reading of the minutes of April 19th.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Exercising an option to renew existing elevator maintenance and repair services contract with Thiessen Krupp Elevator Corp. for various county buildings effective July 1st, 2017 through June 30, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Approve and enter a lease agreement with Lorain County Health District for 3,914 square feet of finished office space at 9890 Murray Ridge Road in the amount of $20,548.50 effective May 1st, 2017 through April 30th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Under 911, award contract to Don Mold Plantation, North Ridgeville, in the amount of $134,292 for Phase 1 site development of the new Lorain County 911 Operations Center. Two bids were opened on March 30th, this being the most responsive complying with specifications. Issue notice to proceed on or about May 1st and complete by July 28, 2017. Authorize county administrator to notify the auditor to release retainage at completion of project.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Children and Family Council, Amendment Resolution 16427, adopted July 6, 2016, with Child Care Resource Center to purchase and deliver family support services on an as-needed basis for family-centered support and services for state fiscal year 17. Said amendment is to reflect the contract will increase from $15,000 to $18,000 effective until June 30, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Amendment Resolution 16516, adopted August 17, 2016, with Catholic Charities Corporation for purchase and delivery of youth mentoring services on an as-needed basis for family-centered support and services for state fiscal year 17. Amendment is to reflect contract will decrease from $10,000 to $7,000 effective until June 30, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Community Development, award contract to Dave Kaufman and Kaufman Properties LTD to receive grant assistance from CDBG Program Year 15, set aside private rehab at 125 Park Avenue in the amount of $1,795.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Under Job and Family, authorized payment of county general fund mandated share as outlined in compliance with the Ohio Revised Code 5101.16 and OAC 5101.9631 in the amount of $995,624 for state fiscal year 18.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Solid Waste, approve the 2017 Community Incentive Grant funding in the amount of $275,000.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
You want to talk about this a little bit? You have a copy of the list, right, Madam Clerk, of the grants?
Of the communities that
Let's make sure that,
the press has, everybody
yeah,
who
our new
gets-
fellow here gets a copy of that in case he wants to look at what communities are getting. Sorry, I didn't get your name.
Yeah, Scott.
Don?
Scott.
Scott?
Scott, what the
You're the
incentive
new Don,
grants are.
Scott. It's okay. From now on, you're Don. I distributed the list to you all about a week ago. I highlighted some of the gainers, some of the folks that are getting a little less money in the communities. Some folks are getting a little less money because they recycle a little less, but by far, most of the folks recycle more, but are getting a little less because each community, other than the few that didn't, had a huge gain in recycling. So the amount of money got spread out. It was a little bit thinner this year. So we'll go out and notify the communities after today's vote of what their allocations are, and we will try to explain that to them, but you may as well be prepared for calls, because when there's a drop, they always get upset. But the formula is decided by the solid waste plan, and we follow the formula pretty strictly. It's still a lot of money going back into the communities to encourage and aid in the recycling initiative. We've come a long way in the last decade, and it's really exciting to see the growth and the benefit to all the communities that participate. But there will be a couple people that are going to be a little upset.
Just a mic, but I mean, also, we got our policy committee May 23rd. I'll have discussion with the committee about, raising the amount of incentive grant funding for next year.
Okay.
Especially
And
with
this-
Lorain coming on board, they're going to be doing a lot more
Correct.
recycling with the blue carts and.
Yeah, I already had a couple of people yelling at me about the carts in Lorain. And
I don't have mine yet. We're
Well-
like the last. I've been waiting. The mayor told me I'd have it by Saturday. I still don't have mine now. It's Wednesday. My
Well, they-
garbage goes out Friday.
They were certainly pretty quick to send a bill to us for the money we were holding for the carts, even though they're not allowed.
They still haven't caught our neighborhood yet.
For those in Lorain that do tune in, after the adjustment to the carts, I think they're going to find that it really is a pretty big benefit using those. And they're very durable, and they last a very long time, unlike most of the pails and stuff you see folks use. Hopefully Lorain's going to try to come up with a program to aid the seniors there with different size carts and so forth, like some of the other communities
It's after
have.
30 days, I think, is what I read it.
Is that what it is?
Republic sent us on a mail, and actually Lori and I were talking with Tiffany Barker yesterday, and I had her send me a breakdown of what's recyclable and not, because the trifold wasn't really clear on it.
Okay.
So I'll probably repost that to Facebook and probably get it out to the press so they can get it for the Lorain residents who haven't done this yet, even though it's been around so
Right,
many
because
years.
there are smaller carts that can be used for those folks that have a problem with the bigger
Well,
ones.
also, though, so the proper things are going in a recycling container versus the trash container also.
Well, that's a hugely important issue, but most people get used to it. There are those that are just going to throw regular trash in it because they get frustrated and they can't fit it all in the bin, but I don't think that's a real epidemic out
Yeah,
there.
they still need to see what it is. Like I said, the trifold from Republic wasn't really clear on everything.
Did it
so
give you a calendar of like bulk pickup days and things like
They
that?
gave a date on
A
it,
date?
yeah, the second or third week of whatever your.
Okay.
Most of the
trash
time, that's
is.
listed on the city sites when they do usually once a month, they do the bulk pickup. But we'll see how that rollout goes and see if we can assist the city in getting information more fully to the residents there.
Right.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Under Domestic Relations, approved $213,829.09 as a funding request from the Victim of Crime Act, State Victim Assistance Act grant for salaries and benefits of the program manager, volunteer coordinator, and program aide positions from Voices for Children. Cash match of $53,457.28 will be met through in-kind services and not required county general fund.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Under the engineer, participated in ODOT road salt agreement for 2017-2018 season.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I think we saved a lot of money on salt this year, wouldn't we?
Yeah. Do we need to buy any for next year?
That's what I'm thinking. Hopefully it's lasts year after year. So.
Everybody had this struggle trying to figure out where to store everything,
Yeah.
because once you order, you gotta take it.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that's good. That's a good problem to have, I guess.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
aye.
Mr. Cortez.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We did move pretty quickly this morning. I just want to turn back to number 12 with the 911. Recognizing you'll see additional initiatives come through. We phased that project. This is the exterior work that I want to get done on it's reshaping the parking lots, redoing one of the existing lots, and taking care of the external components of the building later in the spring, early summer, while the weather is ripe for us to get that work done. There'll still be a second, third, and fourth phase as we start working on the interior, and then we start working on the equipment that needs to go in the building. I'm still hopeful for a October timeframe, maybe November, to get in the building. I'm shooting for October. I'm just having a problem getting the vendor selected for the equipment, getting everybody in here and getting through the presentations and then narrowing it down. I have been told that it's quite possible that I can get the equipment in about 8 to 9 weeks, but that's cutting it really, really close for a late October launch. But we didn't have a firm schedule. I still really haven't made a firm schedule because there's a lot of unknowns, the equipment, the consoles, and what works in there. This is all specialized equipment. It's not turnkey equipment, but I'm hoping still for the fall. It's a moving target, but once I can narrow down the scope of the equipment, we'll set a firm date so we can monitor our progress on the project.
I know the city of Elyria is happy. These important jobs and probably some of the best paying jobs in the county staying in Elyria.
Well, some of the best paying jobs we have.
Right.
So they are staying in Elyria. And for those that don't know, our primary location with our older equipment will become our backup location because our backup is really not sufficient. Now, that said, before anybody gets nervous, lots of communities don't even have a backup PSAP. We do. But rather than strengthening the backup or building a new backup, moving it to the backup so we can build a new primary, we decided to build a new primary and then use our current primary as our secondary. We should get a few years out of that, several years out of the older equipment still, but eventually that'll obsolete. With the changes that are happening so rapidly, by that time we may have to just move on our primary equipment into the backup, and we'll be looking at new primary equipment. It's just changing that quickly. But when we did the cost analysis, it was vastly less expensive to do a new primary than to do a new backup than a new primary, move back and forth. So.
And then instead of having to build it, we stumbled across the perfect location, built almost to what we would expect.
Well, it was a
as
call
building.
center.
Yeah, it was a call
It was built to be a call center, and call centers are like dispatch centers. It was an amazing find and collaboration with the foundation out at the college, because it wasn't owned by the college. It was owned by the college foundation that supports the works done at the college. And they were struggling a bit because trying to find somebody to go into what I would call a small call center. It wasn't a very large area that, unlike the area that Teletech once had, they just couldn't really move the building. They needed the right kind of buyer, and they weren't finding it. And then we, after sitting there for a few years, we had conversation. We went, wow. After we looked at it, and it just met our needs, and they gave us a very, very attractive price on the building. We couldn't build that building for 3 times what we paid for it. So it was a good collaboration.
Yep.
I was just pleased to see on the site development here, too, that a local business actually bid and actually was awarded the contract. And I can't say enough, and I say it all the time when I'm out in the community, is that, you know, obviously there's bidding processes and you follow the bidding process, but, you know, even when we make smaller purchases that are not required under the bidding process, we're always looking for local companies to participate and, you know, try to invest the money locally as much as we can. You know, I know people like to see it as government spending. It's not government spending, it's government investing back into the community. That's what helps to sustain jobs. That's what helps businesses to grow. That's what helps to keep the jobs here. So, you know, when we spend money here, it's not a spending spree, it's actually putting money back into the community. And you know, anytime you see a local business that actually gets awarded on a bid contract, that's always a good thing. It keeps the money in the community.
My last thing is that Restaurant Week begins Saturday. Is it Saturday or Friday? Friday.
28th.
I'll be out of town, as you know. I will be unavailable for next week's meeting. I'm all broke up about that. I'm sure you are too. But I believe you could do without me for at least a week.
Maybe 2.
I was opening the door for you, Commissioner Kalo. I'm pleased that you only said 2. But please come out. We have a website for it. It's posted on our Facebook page. I didn't bring the WW in here, but please share it on the social media. If we see a minor amount of success, I'm not even looking for an overwhelming success, a minor amount of success with this, there'll be more things like this to follow. Commissioner, as you said about spending here and keeping dollars here, that goes for people in our community. Spending here, buying here, recreating here, we have an imbalance. We are wedged in between 2 major destinations, between Erie and Cuyahoga County. And I'm going to renegotiate that NAFTA between those 2, because we got to keep that stuff here. We're a donor county. Most of our people leave this community to spend a lot of their discretionary dollars, and we're trying real hard to give them opportunity to spend their discretionary dollars in Lorain County. There's a lot of good things going on in Avon Lake, North Ridgeville, Lorain area. We've seen a few new things open up. People got to give them a try, got to give them a chance. Amherst just opened up, actually reopened a few there. The brew kettles from Strongsville's up over there. There's lots to see and do here. Just give our locals, a chance, and try to keep your dollars here, and then try to get your friends to come from the adjacent communities to come here and spend some money. It really, really helps out. And when that happens, it lowers the tax base for everybody. That kind of churning in our community. So I'm hopeful. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to hear the commissioner's reports, because you're all going to go out to at least one place, right?
Yep.
So
Make reservations.
I've already made mine.
You did?
okay. So we won't ask you. We'll wait until after and we'll get the review. But there's a lot to be had there during the week, and there's going to be prizes and drawings afterwards. We'll probably do that selection here in the coming weeks. I'm very excited about this, and I'm hopeful for a positive event. Thank you.
Mr. Innes.
I have one matter of pending litigation to discuss with you in executive session.
Commissioners report.
You're going to have to tell Brad, Scott, tell Brad I put in overtime again this week, so.
That's Don.
Oh, Don. I'm Scott.
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 No. We've renamed it.
It's Don, okay. Yeah, it's been really busy this week. Thursday, I attended my first Keep Lorain County Beautiful meeting. I'm the chairman of that. And we met at the History Center on Washington Avenue. And they just opened that like 5 years ago, and I had not been in there before. And it's really beautiful. It's very, very nice in there. So we talked about Pride Week that's coming up. It's May 15th through the 19th. And actually on the 20th is Pride Day. If you have Boy Scouts, there's an opportunity to get patches for that if they want to participate. So looking forward to that. And then Thursday evening, I attended the Lorain County Township Association at the lodge out in Amherst Township, or New Russia Township. And the lodge is beautiful. They had great food. Sturks catered it, and it was pretty well attended.
Was that their annual?
The annual
Spring banquet.
Spring banquet.
Spring banquet.
Yeah, it was nice. So good food. Last year they actually ran. We were like the last ones up to the buffet line, and they had run out of food. So this year, luckily, they made more. Or we weren't last in line, so we got fed real well there. So. Then Friday, unfortunately, I missed this, but somebody that worked for us for a very long time, retired years ago, but passed away, Boyd Weber. So they had services for him on Friday. Then Friday evening, I went to German Villa. They had a fundraiser for the Valor Home mural project that they're Mike Sekletar and Brian Goodwin, extremely talented artists, going to be doing the mural there at Valor Home. So that was really well attended, very well attended. Saturday, I actually got to eat at DeLuca's for lunch and dinner. I went Saturday afternoon to the Negro Business Women Professional Club, had their 43rd annual Founders Day luncheon, and it was almost the same lunch as there was dinner there. It's very close. That evening, I went to the chairman's banquet for Lorain County Democrat Chairman's Banquet at DeLuca's also, and they honored our very own Judy Nedwick, our county recorder, and also Joe Rebar, who is the UAW Local 2000 Finance Secretary, and they were designated Democrats of the Year, and very nice job by Scott Saracen, did the prelude for Judy, and he almost made me cry. He's very, very, very nice.
You go to like Weight Watchers after you attend.
I know. You would think I'd be like 600 pounds because I eat it all too, and the dessert.
And dessert.
Sometimes too.
Sometimes too. Okay. So Tuesday we had our IAC meeting. No investment advisory committee for those of you I know. ABC, D, E, F, G. Then Tuesday evening last night, we had the opiate forum at Columbia Township High School. We had such a good group of panel experts talking about a variety of issues that dealing with this crisis, those people on the front lines of this, starting with paramedics all the way to the coroner, and in between, legal, everything having to do with that. And unfortunately, we had resource tables in the back, so if anybody had a problem themselves or a family member, they can get information on what to do and where to go. But we only had, what would you say, 20, 30 people?
Yeah.
Unfortunately. I mean, when we went out to Wellington, there was probably 200 to 300. So I was kind of disappointed in the turnout, and I kind of wish we would have videotaped it because there was so much good information. Media wasn't there. So
Scott, your fault. Where were you last night?
Don, where were you?
But it was good. I mean, I think even some of the panel people may have learned from each other.
Commissioner, sometimes the community gets on overload. I mean, there's been a lot of information coming out on it, a lot of people working on it, and you attend one, you don't need to attend so many, but hopefully there'll be more information shared. Maybe we'll have a presentation done here that we can get on the channel and go out after the meeting. So you and I should have a conversation about that, and we can put it as a trailer to our meetings in the future. If somebody wants to come in and do like a 15 or a 20-minute presentation, then that may help.
Yeah, it's just an issue that we can't afford fatigue on. I mean, it's an issue that has to stay on the front burner, and I see you're holding the literature of something really cool that Southwest is doing.
Yeah, Southwest has a new program. It's a detox program. It's not a special unit. It's just somebody, they come in, they get assessed, they go through detox, but they have to agree to go through follow-up with either outpatient or inpatient services. So they don't just like detox you and then you go out and go out on your own, because that's not going to work. So it's a new program that they've just started, and it's covered by insurance. They check to make sure that your insurance covers it, and hopefully, I'm assuming that if you have Medicaid, you're also covered by this program as well. So it's just starting. It's pretty new. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that works, and hopefully we can get that here in Lorain County, because we all know we need that desperately here. Then also, April 29th, which is coming up, is prescription turn-in day at the Lorain County Sheriff's Office Task Force. I think last time they did this, they collected, what did they say, 2 tons of prescription drugs that could either been misused or put in our waterways, which is also not good. So just about every police department has a drop-off where you can just walk in and no questions asked, throw your prescriptions in a box, and it's secured, and you don't want anybody taking your prescriptions. So.
And they made a good point at the forum the other night, talking about, everybody talks about the drug dealers and getting the drug dealers off the street, and what folks don't realize is in your medicine cabinet, you're almost a drug dealer from the standpoint of, the kids want to look inside the medicine cabinet and grab the medicine. So you don't want to be part of the problem. You want to be part of the solution. Get those old medicines out of there.
They said, they did a study, 9 out of 10 of the people that are addicted to heroin started with pain medication out of either prescribed by a doctor or out of their parents' medicine cabinet. So it all starts with prescription pain medicine and goes from there. So 9 out of 10, that's staggering, because they said, well, we just need to line up those drug dealers and shoot them, but what if the drug dealer is your mom's medicine? So you're the mom.
Your own medicine.
Your own medicine, so you got to shoot yourself, I guess. So, and then the other thing, lastly, they assist communities spring care bag drive. They are looking for packages to send out. If you have flip-flops, deodorant, toothpaste, shavers, washcloths, anything that you think somebody could use, get a hold of Marnie, and her phone number is 201-4411. They need stuff. A lot of these addicts, by the time they get to where they are, they have absolutely nothing left. So anything that you think somebody could use, just call her, donate it. It's laying around, probably collecting dust. Donate it. Thanks. End of my report.
On your report. Yeah, I had one of those discussions with someone last night about the issue of that. It's hard to get people to understand sometimes. Yeah, busy week. Thursday I had a conference call again. I serve on a committee between the County Commissioners Association and the Board of Elections Committee. Senator Frank LaRose, a Republican from Hudson, finally introduced Senate Bill 135 this week, provide funding for counties to replace some of our voting equipment. It's split on an 80-20. The state would pick up 80%, the counties 20%. His request for the upcoming budget is $86 million. Not quite sure, because in our discussions with Secretary of State Husted, we were looking at almost $200 million. But let's see if that goes through. There's a lot of the House Subcommittee and Finance were releasing a bunch of information yesterday on things they were doing. I didn't see anything in it for this. Let's hopefully the Senate, and then concurrence committee, they all get together and figure out conference committee.
The differences, Jim.
Let's hope for that, because all of our voting equipment is getting old.
You're talking about voting equipment, and every week it seems I'm looking at something when one of you guys bring the subject up. This is the estimated cost of participating in conducting a special election here.
Mm-hmm.
And, just an interesting scenario. When you break it all down, when it's all said and done, even for a special election, it only costs about $1.49 a resident to go to the polling places. But you got to have the equipment to use it. I was really stunned by the number. I thought it'd be much higher than that. But the Board of Elections here does a really great job. They really stretch things to the breaking point. So are we going to get some money, Commissioner? What do you think?
I have no clue. It depends on Matt's friends in Columbus.
Yeah. Well, everybody's crying poor because the tax breaks that were set up that were going to generate all the jobs, and the tax breaks that went to the wealthy, and nothing ever trickles down.
What's nice about the House bill,
so
the House Finance, they're not letting him put the 0.5% sales tax.
They're not?
The imposed?
Yeah, the imposed 0.5% by the governor.
Is that Bill 64, whatever?
Well, they gave a whole capital outline,
Okay.
a whole, for the biennium budget, so, yeah, that wasn't in there.
I'm
There's a
really
lot of changes they're proposing.
I'm really hopeful that, through CCO and your work down there, we can get some pressure on those folks for this. We need money for that equipment.
I'm just concerned about more local government funding cuts. So.
They said they're doing cuts up to 1.5, but we'll see. Also, congratulations to the Valor Home. Fantastic turnout. Just wonderful. I mean, the things they're doing over there, just a wonderful place for our veterans. Also, congratulations to Joe Horvath from Amherst.
Right.
Yep.
Very good friend. I was actually with he and his wife were at the Valor Home, and she was telling me, Joe's nominated, Joe's nominated, Joe's nominated. So congratulations, just a great guy. Again, always steps up to the plate for veterans. Many times he's calling me, hey, Ted, you want to come help us, the Vietnam veterans from where we're going to mulch, we're going to clean up. Okay, Joe. If he calls, he asks, you should go, because he never turns anybody down. Congratulations to Judy and Joe again at the chairman's banquet. Congratulations, Sheffield Lions Club did a great job as always with their pancake breakfast. Investment Advisory Committee, a lot of discussion on what's going on around the world, though, in regards to what could happen, volatile events that could change where investments are going, but the stock market is at all-time highs again. And yes, Restaurant Week, don't forget, get out, support our local restaurants. It's a lot of good food. I'm sure with their specials, a lot of things you wouldn't normally get an opportunity to eat at very reasonable prices, and an opportunity to win something also at the end of the game. So, looking forward to it.
It's making me hungry right now.
Yeah. Jim, can I have your credit card, though? I won't eat it all of them.
Sure, I'll give you the county credit.
Can I have the county one?
You can figure it out later on when they come looking for you.
I'll have to gas my truck up, too, to get all over the
There
county.
you go, there you go.
Yeah, I'd just like to say congratulations to Joe Horvath as well for Veteran of the Year. It was cool to see the picture with Steve Bancik, I think, presenting, a news member on the board there. Yeah, Restaurant Week, I've already made my reservation. I'll keep it a secret, but plan on experiencing a couple places. And in fact, it's also an anniversary dinner. So it's kind of a multiple Restaurant Week / anniversary dinner. Making it to 1 year on Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah, Ted's been my
Honeymoon's
personal marriage coach.
Honeymoon's over.
All the things not to do.
Not to do exactly.
Do exactly the opposite of what I do. You have a very successful marriage.
So, Lakefront Lorain County, certainly encouraging residents to come out and participate. We'll be in all 4 of the lakefront communities. However, we're taking it one at a time, and more than welcome to come out to any of the lakefront feedback sessions, even if you're in a different lakefront community or even if you're not in a lakefront community. We value and want your feedback. First one is this Saturday at 9 a.m. to noon at the Vermilion Gardeners Fair. That's at Sailor Way Middle School, 5355 Sailor Way Drive in Vermilion. As I said, from 9 a.m. to noon. There will be a booth there, and we'll be talking with residents and getting their feedback on what their vision is for Lorain County. Obviously, we want to see more economic activity in our lakefront communities and really take advantage of the amazing resource that we have that we call our Lake Erie. And also put on your schedule for now, May 4th, 6 to 7:30, Sheffield Lake Community Center. That's at 4575 Lake Road, May 4th, Sheffield Lake Community Center, 6 to 7:30 p.m. at 4575 Lake Road. That will be the Sheffield Lake session, and Lorain and Avon Lake are being scheduled, and we'll be announcing those shortly. Also, a very successful Township Association Spring Banquet. Very much enjoyed the evening there. Always good conversation. The Lorain County Valor Home Spaghetti Dinner. Wow, just a great turnout there, and can't say enough about the veterans in our community, how they come back from service and they just keep giving back to the community and serving their community and helping their fellow veterans. And it's a rough transition for a lot of our veterans, and we just can't do enough to help them get back on course. And so thank you to everybody who supported that. The Lorain Negro Business and Professional Women's Founders Day on Saturday. We were pleased to attend there. We had commendations from the commissioners for Charcetta Brown, who is active in just about everything in town, and then for businessman Tony Horn, who told me he went to school with Ted Kalo, and Ted kept him out of trouble, and he kept Ted out of trouble.
That worked real well.
But a business person who's always giving back to the community, and has gone through some rough times, but he understands the importance of being a community business, not just being a business in the community, by always giving back. The chairman's dinner, 2 of the nicest people you ever meet in life, Judy Nedwick and Joe Rebar, were recognized. Congratulations to them, much deserved. Sheffield Lions Club had their pancake breakfast on Sunday over at the new Brookside High School there. Also, the Lorain Democratic Women had a breakfast shortly after that, so I had a double dose of breakfast on Sunday over at the KFC. And I did miss the State of the Schools address by Superintendent Graham yesterday, which I understand he did in both English and Spanish. So that was very impressive. He's doing a great job. The teachers are doing a great job over there, the administration. Obviously, the state keeps raising the bar, changing the bar, moving where they need to be for their goals and objectives. Very concerned about the state takeover there, but we need to be very close and supportive to our schools, especially in Lorain. There was an Earth Day event that was held in Avon Lake last night. I wasn't able to make that because I was down in Columbia. I understand it was a good turnout for the Earth Day event in Avon Lake. They had a speaker there. And also the County Drug Forum. I just want to thank my colleague Lori Kokoski for all the work that she did, because, wow, you brought in a lot of people for that forum. It was very well attended. The content was just amazing. You're right. It should have been videotaped. So many people, so many resources there to help out. Next time you're in a crowd, count off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Every 6th person in Lorain County, it's believed, potentially could have an addiction problem now in the county. That's how bad the problem has become. So 1 in 6 now, there's concern about an addiction issue. And The projection now is overdose deaths based upon the way things are trending could reach more than, 250 overdose deaths for the year. So, yeah, we can't get in fatigue mode. We've got to constantly focus on this issue and do everything we can to collectively work on it. And then I was just going to ask the administrator, and we know that we saw in the paper this week about Camaco and adding 200 new jobs. You know, I know that the state likes to step up and take credit for everything. I know that from having served in Columbus. But I also know that here at the local level, we played a very important role with several phases of that project. And I just think that needs to be noted.
Don's here. He can-
And maybe Don Romancak from Community Development can explain that. But it's just a little troublesome because, you know, folks always ask us, what are you doing with economic development and jobs? And we're very engaged and very involved. And then when everything comes together, all of a sudden people forget that we were actually laying a lot of the groundwork through some of the early phases to make it possible.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Lundy and Board, for giving me this opportunity to talk a little bit about what we have been doing with Camaco. Early on, Camaco had announced that, or began to have conversations with the City of Lorain and with the Lorain Port Authority, Lorain City Port Authority, to be able to expand. The land itself was owned by the Port Authority, and a transaction was set up to allow that to occur. While that was going on, the county itself had received a Brownfield assessment grant. We were able to participate and provide $33,000 in Brownfield assessments to ensure that the land itself was clean that they were acquiring, as well as making sure that the land that they've been occupying and actually using for the last 20 years has not become contaminated. This was key to their getting a $13 million in financing, primarily through local bank, originally Lorain National when the project was being talked about, but of course it's become Northwest shortly after that had started. We were able to get that done, provide the environmental clean bill of health on that property so that the bank would feel comfortable in lending the money. Those funds are being used to construct a 60,000 square foot addition, bringing in 200 new jobs to the facility, preserving the existing 400 plus that are there. We were able to advocate with Camaco to also make sure that we were able to do this in a way where we were doing these environmental tests inside their building while they were underway without interrupting their operation at all, so that we could keep their process going. We also worked with the state, and while it didn't work for our small cities block grant, to be able to provide a revolving loan. For the first time, we got in writing, with lots of rules, but in writing, our ability to make a loan within an entitlement city, so long as we could demonstrate that the outcome would lead to job creation for the balance of the county, low mod income people. Now, unfortunately, Camaco was continuing to move their process along, and so they had started construction, but we were able to provide them that Brownfield assessment money. We were able to save them those dollars, help them with Northwest Bank to get their financing, and then we were also working very closely with the Jobs Ohio group to be able to get from Camaco the information that was needed and to provide the case why the state should provide the job creation tax credit, which it was actually a fairly large one versus what's been going on in the state as I've looked through. This project really came to community development as a full on or about September, as we've kind of picked up that role for Jobs Ohio as Team Lorain County had gone down, and we were able to carry it through, pushing both Team NEO and Jobs Ohio to make sure that we would get these things through, as well as being able to open up a new tool in our kit that we weren't sure we were going to be able to allow to occur by now having a roadmap for how we could participate within the cities of Lorain and Elyria to provide RLF funding, so long as we can meet certain conditions.
Great job, Don. A lot of work went into that, you and the team upstairs.
So, thank you very much. It's been our pleasure, and we see more of these coming down the pike, hopefully in the near future.
Yeah, we do a good job behind the scenes, but we're not the folks out there tooting our horns. So the state does an excellent job of that. But you know, it's just the reality of what we are doing. And, you know, I just love when people in general terms say, oh, you're not doing anything. Well, of course, we're doing a lot. You know, we just probably don't toot our horns as loudly as the state does. And I was glad to see that my colleague, Commissioner Kalo, had a chance to comment on the story and remind people about our involvement as well, too. So, but thanks for the job that you did. That's tough groundwork, getting through the Brownfield type related issues.
Yeah, but again, thank you for providing us those tools. So, and we'll be coming back with additional work on brownfields within the city of Lorain on their waterfront coming up in the next few weeks as well. So we'll be very busy on many fronts, pushing our economy forward and creating new job opportunities.
Well, another piece of good news, we finally completed all the work we need to do the bonds for Riddell and finish up that last piece of the financing. While they're moved in already, we haven't finished all of that. A little sticky happened when the developer sold the property during the process of doing the master debt indentures, and so a lot of changes had to occur with indemnification language and so forth. They wanted us to meet next week to do that process, but unfortunately I was unavailable with the port. So I'm hopeful when, the week after next the board will meet and authorize the issuance of those $6 million in bonds for the Verdell project.
Wonderful.
Yeah, good job.
And I'm really looking forward to some innovative thinking with regard to Bendix. Remember, they were the ones that wanted to do possibly some synthetic leasing and
Right.
et cetera. So it's new territory for us. We haven't participated at that level before. Hopefully they'll still be considering us. They indicated strongly that they were interested in doing that. So they have a lot of work yet to do, so we'll be staying in touch with that process too.
That's another important component, you know, job retention, and everybody talks about, you know, why aren't you bringing this job in or that job in? The most important part is that most of your new jobs are going to come from the employers that are already here. And you need to retain them and make sure they stay here and keep the jobs. So, you know, we're engaged in the business community. As I said, the businesses don't like their stories on the front page of the paper because they're working through their strategies and getting their finances in order and trying to figure out what their strategic planning is for new product development, so on and so forth. And that's why a lot of these things aren't talked about. But believe me, we are working on these things behind the scenes.
Okay. Board correspondence?
I move to approve the correspondence and waive the reading.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Public comment?
Teresa, you here to speak to us today?
You blew right past the Main Street thing with
Yep.
Dave Kaufman, but hey, go ahead.
I just didn't know if anybody had any questions about the grant. So I didn't know if, I thought maybe I would come and explain if you guys had any questions about the
Now,
CDBG grant.
we've
that
been
the city of
talking about
Amherst-
it. We've kind of wore out the carpet on that grant every
Yeah.
time we do something here. But it's been a great collaboration
Yeah.
with Amherst, and this is one of the ones I can say visually you can see the outcomes downtown Amherst. It's really provided a real charge for the building owners down there to do some changes that are great. We're hopeful to duplicate that effort now in a different community.
You guys are full downtown, right? You don't
We
have
have
any-
one empty and it'll be full by the summer's end.
Really?
It will be
That's
full, we have
wonderful.
Full capacity, yeah. We'll
And
be-
you do know that you have a restaurant in Restaurant Week, so
Yes,
hopefully you're promoting that and trying to get people into the downtown.
we have the
Amherst
one
area.
restaurant that's participating in Coast Public House. I'm
Right.
hoping
Yeah.
I'm hoping
Actually,
next
he
time
added Cork
that.
Tree. He ordered added Cork Tree Tavern about a week after we
Yes.
announced.
Yeah,
He's
and
got
I
two.
actually,
Oh, he has both of them now?
I think
didn't-
he
Oh, they
added
are?
Cork Tree Tavern. I saw Jen had
didn't know
sent
that.
something out. Cork Tree Tavern was part of it now also.
Perfect.
I'm hoping that more restaurants won't be invited next time
Oh,
and
yeah.
participate.
But this is
because
our
I
first
think it
time
could
out.
be
We're
a-
working it.
I think it would be an awesome thing.
Uh,
We've been trying to do that ourselves, so to do the whole county, I think is fantastic.
Well, thank you, and you know, it's something that for years I've been trying to get off the ground, and for various reasons, not worth talking about, it just never occurred, but the time was ripe for us to move forward. I will say that we're going to have different initiatives. Not every restaurant fits into the type of dining week that we were looking for this time, but if this is successful, you can look at things like cheap eats, diners and dives week,
Food
things
truck.
like that. Food truck, I'm
Food
still
truck
working
event.
on that. That's a
Food
big
truck.
one.
We're gonna work
I know
on
you
it.
guys talk about, that's a
I
big one.
want to put out there, if you ever need any help, I would be more than happy to
Sure,
help you.
that's great.
Work on any of those.
And in fact, I should have reached out to you when Amherst came on board with the restaurants. But these are weeks that we can put on that give people, something to look forward to, and we need to repeat them. We're going to have another restaurant week in the fall, regardless of the outcome on this one.
Right.
We're going to have another one in the fall.
Great.
We'll probably wedge ourselves in a couple weeks before the Thanksgiving holiday, because that really picks up the restaurants for the
Well,
holiday
as Teresa
season.
saying, though, if we engage the main streets to help us with the restaurants
We
that
will.
they've got within their communities, that might help us, as a
Again,
funnel.
remembering for this type of restaurant week, we're
Right, right.
selective on.
But we still
Well,
missed a
and let me
few.
just tell you a little bit about Main Street. I'm really excited about tonight. Main Street Wellington, Main Street Oberlin, I know that's not Main Street Oberlin, it's Oberlin Business Partnership.
Right.
And Main Street Vermillion and Main Street Amherst, all of our boards are getting together for the first time to do networking, and we want to collaborate and work
Wow.
together and do events together.
Good.
Was the last time you guys met when you met with all of us?
Yeah,
Yes.
here.
Yeah, here.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the gentleman that made the soup isn't here anymore. It was really good soup. I'd really like to meet with your group again.
Okay.
If you could arrange that, it's been a while.
I can?
Oberlin does have a restaurant also in Restaurant Week.
Okay.
And unfortunately, there was really nothing right now in Wellington, but I have some ideas for some of the facilities out there, how we can include them in other initiatives going forward. But we haven't sat down together in a while, and
Yeah, we
if
need
you
to
could
do that.
facilitate that, I'd really like to make that happen.
I can do the Main Street managers, we get together once a month, but this is the first time the boards, all of our board is coming
Oh.
together
Meet
to
each
network
other.
Well,
together.
I'd like to meet with the managers again.
Okay.
I've been remiss, and we should get back together.
Okay, can do, thank you.
Okay.
All right, thanks,
Thanks, Teresa.
Teresa.
See you, dear.
Good job over there in
Great
Amherst.
job.
Anybody else wishing to bring anything up today? See none, move that we go into executive session as outlined by the administrator and assistant county prosecutor.
Second.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye?
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
This has been a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda for a printable copy of the agenda.